Hello everyone, this is part 7 of What If Naruto Changed, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
2 days passed since Gaara was brought back to Sunagakure and the two teams from Konoha decided to stay, in order to recuperate. Also, Naruto was still due to wake up seeing as he used a lot of chakra against both Akatsuki Deidara and Sasori, even killing the last. Because of this event, Naruto received a treatment reserved only for the Kazekage. It was the very Godime Kazekage who ordered such thing and, thus, Naruto was receiving attention from the best medics Suna had to offer. Of course, they would need to get through Sakura first. The pink-haired Chunin took plain responsibility for her teammates' care and dared anyone to challenge her. Therefore, Sakura remained alone taking care of Naruto, using every bit of the skills taught by both the Godime Hokage and Shizune. Naruto would be completely healed by this time tomorrow, for sure. Kakashi could only smile at his beautiful student's antics, often preferring to wander around town with Neji. It was definitely better than accepting Guy's challenge to scale Sunagakure's top mountains twice. He was lucky that Lee, Guy's student, accepted the challenge, otherwise Guy wouldn't stop bugging him. Tenten opted to hang out with Temari as she showed the weapon mistress around Suna. It was actually quite surprising to see both ladies having so much fun together, seeing as, 3 years ago, Tenten couldn't stand Temari. Probably, because the wind user wiped the floor with her at their first Chunin exams. However, because of the time spent between Suna and Konoha, Temari made a lot of friends in Konoha and Tenten ended up being one of them. Both were competent and highly skilled kunoichi, therefore they had a lot to talk about, besides regular woman talk like men for instance. Temari kept saying that Shikamaru was so lazy that even though he liked her, he wouldn't make a move because it was troublesome. Tenten, for her part, chose to complain about Neji's cold attitude outside of missions. Overall, those from Konoha were having a nice time, while Naruto recovered. Speaking of the blonde, he was resting peacefully inside his hospital room, while Sakura ran her last diagnosis check on him. The rate in which any normal shinobi would recover from chakra exhaustion was at least 2 weeks, but Naruto wasn't normal by any means. He only needed 2 to 3 days, something she always seemed to wonder why, but no one ever explained it to her. She smiled, though, seeing as by this time tomorrow, they would return to Konoha. Afterwards, she left the room in order for Naruto to get as much rest as he could. However, if she remained a couple more minutes, she would have noticed that Naruto began to sweat, because of the sudden pain inside his body. Inside Naruto's mind . The only noise Naruto could hear were the few droplets of water that echoed throughout the sewer that represented his mind. The blonde knew enough about his tenant to realize that it wanted to talk to him about something. Naruto almost felt nostalgic upon looking around this place one more time. Because of his training with Jiraiya and Yugao, not once did he bother to use or improve his control over the fox's chakra. The reason was that he didn't enjoy being over-reliant on the same thing time and time again. It was his resolution a couple days before his training trip began to acquire other skills besides Kage Bunshin, Rasengan and the fox's chakra. Naruto chuckled at the prospect of the fox calling him here because the gigantic demon was lonely and needed some company. As he walked towards the room where the cage was located, he could feel the enormous, almost poisoning, killing intent that leaked from his chakra coils, represented inside his mind by the pipes that ran along the walls of the sewer. It could only mean that the fox was mad about something and that could never be good. A couple minutes passed before Naruto walked inside the room and narrowed his eyes upon seeing the amount of malevolent chakra being leaked from the cage right now. It was only because of Ero-sensei and Sujiro-sensei's lessons, that Naruto managed to act aloof as he saw the red menacing eyes looking down upon him. He could see all kinds of evil in that look and could only wonder what could have pissed the fox off so much. The demon, for its part, saw the boy in front of him and snarled at him, with rage beyond words, scratching the resistant bars that kept him locked inside Naruto. Kyuubi was a proud demon. Therefore, when his damned host decided, out of nowhere, that he didn't need the fox's power anymore, it was infuriating. I take it you wanted to say something to me, Kyuubi. Naruto asked as he tried, with all his might, to control his urges to flee from the room. He almost blacked out when the fox roared at him from within the cage, in response to his question. The demon's chakra was so strong that his legs started shaking. Of course, I want to say something, you brat. You don't use as much of my chakra as you did in the past. What is it? You think you can survive out there without my help? You're weak. Without me you're nothing but a pathetic meat bag. The sheer force of the fox's chakra was enough that Naruto was having trouble to breathe, much less think of a proper response to give. And despite the fox's blind rage at being dismissed so easily, Kyuubi couldn't help but smirk upon seeing his tenant holding up like this. A couple years ago, the brat never won a battle using his own skills, rather depending on the fox's power to beat his enemies. Now, though, the brat had grown. He went from plain incompetent to adequate in Kyuubi's opinion, and that was saying something. It immediately diminished the chakra leakage and looked as Naruto got up from the ground, while slowly gaining his breathing once more. Why did you stop? I thought you were mad at me, damn furball. The fact that you have enough balls to stand strong when others almost died upon facing my wrath speaks volumes of your newly acquired skills. I'm still pissed at the fact that you feel that you don't need me as much anymore. So, I'm proposing a deal to you, brat. Tell me first, though, why are you so against using my power? Surely, your techniques would at least double in power and your speed would be unmatched. Tell me, brat, why do you fight so much against me? It's not like I will do something to get you killed, since I would go to hell as well, so what is it? Kyuubi asked, surprising Naruto a bit. First of all, the minute I use it, you start overloading my brain with negative thoughts, which would, then, lead to me using more chakra than I can control. Because of it, I lose track of my surroundings and become a threat instead of an ally. Also, as you probably know, I don't want to be reliant on you alone, and contrary to what you believe, I'm not neglecting you, you damn furball. When I face a foe I can't beat with my own chakra, I don't have any other choice but to borrow yours. I did it when I fought against Sasori, remember? Naruto explained, before hearing what he believed was a snort of sarcasm coming from the fox's mouth. He wasn't certain, though. Yes, for 5 minutes, anyway, about the deal. I'm not asking you to use my chakra every damn time. And when you use it, I won't try manipulating your thoughts. The deal was almost too good to be true, hence why the blonde found it difficult to believe his tenant. It was true that Naruto now rarely used the fox's chakra, and it was also true that when he used it against Sasori, he felt like he could withstand it without dire repercussions, which meant that his training helped him. However, the prospect of using more of Kyuubi's power and not be manipulated by the chakra's effects was too much to pass up. He could feel that the fox wanted something out of this bargain. As I can hear your thoughts, you want to know what is in it for me in this deal of ours. All I want is to have access to your senses, brat. It's damn lonely in here after a while. That way, I can see what you see, hear what you hear, feel what you feel, and before you ask, you can shut me down when you fornicate with the swordswoman. Naruto tried really hard, but he couldn't avoid the sudden intake of memories of the many positions he and Yugao were in as they ravaged each other a couple times. Okay Kyuubi, you've got a deal. Although, I know you're aware that I won't be facing S-ranked criminals on a daily basis. However, upon facing foes like Kakashi-sensei, be sure that I'll use your chakra. Now, I don't know I can allow you to use my senses, I mean. Do not worry about that, it's already done. Ah, I can already smell fresh air, it's nice. Now, get out of here brat. Naruto did as he was told and left, though he wouldn't be the same if he didn't let out a smart-ass remark, seeing as it was the damn fox who called him in the first place. Next day Naruto was already up and ready to leave for his home village. Right now, he was supposed to meet his team at Sunaгаkure's main gate. In little less than 10 minutes, he reached the location only to see Guy and Lee screaming to each other, challenging to see who would reach Konoha first, while the rest just face-faulted at the two's antics. As soon as he sensed Gaara's presence behind him, Naruto smirked and turned in order to properly greet the fellow Jinchuriki and Kazekage of Sunagakure. Although the Kage wasn't that talkative, Naruto knew how to communicate with him. The red-haired Jinchuriki had a smile on his face. I wanted to thank you for your help once more, Naruto. Gaara extended his hand while gathering sand. Naruto smiled and shook the Kazekage's hand. No problem Gaara, we are friends, aren't we? I know you'd do the same thing if the situation was reversed. Although, it's high time we did something about the Akatsuki. We can't just sit around and wait for them to collect all the Jinchuriki. The topic was suddenly serious and Gaara nodded as well. I understand, though it will be extremely hard to convince other Kages about this threat. I'll do what I can to send messages to Iwa and Kumo, though I highly doubt even one of them will see it like we do. I'll ask Hokage-sama to send word to Kirigakure and Takagakure. Hopefully, they will be more open to threats such as this one. Now, you take care, my friend. Naruto shook Gaara's hand once more and then turned towards his team, knowing that Gaara would just leave when the conversation was over. By now, only Kakashi and Sakura remained, waiting for him to say goodbye to Gaara, seeing as the others were betting on who would win between Lee and Guy. Neji and Tenten placed a few bets as well, so they tried following the two. In no time, Team Kakashi ran as well, towards Konoha. By the regular speed, they would reach Konoha in 2 days from now, probably night time. Well, Team Guy would arrive first, but seeing as Naruto, Sakura and Kakashi weren't in such a rush to return, they were taking their time. Surely, getting back from a mission didn't require speed, and for Naruto it worked nicely. He was completely healed, of course, but he was bedridden for more than 2 days. His legs weren't 100% yet. 2 days later. Nighttime in Konoha . By the time Naruto and his team arrived in front of Konoha's gates, it was already nighttime and the moon was glowing brighter than ever. He couldn't help but smile upon seeing that tonight was a full moon and, thus, Yugao would be ecstatic for a weapons spar. Something that he never understood, but somehow, Yugao was even more beautiful when illuminated by the moon. Walking inside the village, Kakashi was notified by a Chunin guard that Guy's team had already arrived and was currently waiting for his team at the Hokage's office for a full debriefing on the successful assignment. Looking at his team, he could see that they were well rested, despite the pace in which they ran towards Konoha. He suspected that Sakura would object to traveling at night, but since they were already inside Fire Country, it wasn't that much of a deal. So, the three walked towards the Hokage's tower, while Naruto looked slightly to his right, with a smile on his face. He wasn't surprised that his girlfriend already knew he was in town. She was an Anbu captain after all. He was able to understand the hidden sign language and only nodded to her invitation to meet him at her house after debriefing. As the team walked, both Naruto and Sakura were taking their time looking at their surroundings, seeing as by this time, only those who wished to have a good night out were on the streets. Usually, it was by this time that trouble usually happened and every ninja around needed to be alert, in case a drunken civilian or even a drunken shinobi was causing trouble. Luckily, nothing major happened and the team arrived at the Hokage's office. Guy and his team waited patiently for Kakashi's team, since they arrived half an hour before them. Still, Guy couldn't help but see it as a victory for him and started annoying Kakashi for it. Of course, the Scarecrow Junin didn't care much about it, since he was busy finishing the last chapter of his book. Kakashi, didn't I tell you to never walk in here reading that book? Tsunde's eyebrow was twitching at Kakashi's obvious disregard for her order. But she knew that, strangely enough, reading porn and being aloof to the world were Kakashi's ways of coping with the life of shinobi, just as she chose to drink a lot. My apologies, Hokage-sama, Kakashi said, before placing his book inside his holster. Just don't do it again. I want to hear the full report of this mission, so spill it. Kakashi gave the Hokage a full report of what happened since they left Konoha, giving her details of their fights against Itachi first, then against Deidara and Sasori, thus saving the Kazekage from Akatsuki's hands. Tsunade, at the end, smiled and congratulated them on the job well done, before dismissing everyone. Sakura, for her part, nodded and turned to Naruto for something, before being shocked that the blonde wasn't there anymore. Looking at Neji, since he was behind Naruto most of the time, the Hyuga just shrugged it off, saying that he left just after the Hokage dismissed them. Neji didn't even bother to see her look at his answer before he left Tsunade's office through the door together with Tenten, Lee and Guy. Showing her frustration, Sakura stormed out of her office, leaving Kakashi alone with Tsunade and Shizune. Kakashi watched everything from the corner of his only visible eye and smiled upon remembering that Yugao appeared before Naruto upon Team Kakashi's arrival. Tsunade-sama, I was wondering if I could talk to you regarding Naruto. I believe it's time that we placed Tenzu on the team. This topic surprised Tsunade a bit. It was a bit early, considering that the man would only appear once. Naruto was at least adequate with the usage of Kyuubi's chakra, and so far, he hadn't demonstrated such control, at least not to her knowledge. It's still too early, Kakashi. Why do you think that? On the mission, Naruto used 2 taels worth of power against Sasori of the Red Sand. I couldn't even keep up with him, not even with the Sharingan. I was at first worried that I'd have to use Jiraiya's seal to subdue the fox, but the fox's chakra didn't affect Naruto's mind at all. In fact, he was in control the entire time, dealing with Sasori's army of puppets. With Tenzu's help, I bet he could reach at least 3 taels and still be in control. After Kakashi explained, Tsunade narrowed her eyes at the fact that Jiraiya didn't tell her this specific piece of information regarding Naruto's training. If he did, then Tenzu would be accompanying the team to Suna, instead of only now being placed on Kakashi's team. Okay, Kakashi, I'll call him here later on to tell him his new assignment. Now, you are dismissed. The Junin bowed to the Hokage, before leaving through the door, leaving Tsunade and Shizune alone to ponder on things. Naruto, after only 3 years of training, pretty much transformed from and fresh out of the academy genin into a Junin-level shinobi. It was really scary for them to witness such growth. They could only imagine how powerful he would be once he learned to fully control Kyuubi's chakra. With Naruto . Soon after arriving inside Yugao's apartment, via Shunshin, Naruto was not surprised to see the woman already waiting for him, sitting on her couch with a wooden sword in her hand. The fact that Yugao was tapping her fingers repeatedly told that she had been waiting for a while. Sorry about taking so long, Yugao-chan. A lot happened on the mission and thus Kakashi-sensei took a while to report, Naruto said, as he already summoned his metal staff, while seeing his girlfriend leaving the room through her window. Just so you know, you're making it to me for wasting some precious full moon moments. Now, let's go. I'm in need of a sparring partner and you can't get rusty with lack of a proper challenge to test your bojutsu. Now, I understand you came all the way from Suna, are you tired? Asked Yugao, already knowing the answer to her question. It was enjoyable to see the look on his face, upon having to answer this same question every time they sparred together. No, I'm not tired. I haven't been tired for a while now and probably it will take more than just traveling from Suna for that. Plus, yesterday, I managed to sleep a lot, so I'm 100%. I wonder about you, though, with those boring patrol missions of yours. Naruto knew that Yugao hated when someone underestimated her stamina and chakra capacity. She told him that people did all the time and every time she would show them by hitting them hard. True to his pretension, he could see her angry look and enjoyed every second of it. She was just more beautiful when she was angry, especially at him. You just signed your death warrant, Naruto-kun. Let's go, Yugao said, before she vanished, followed by a smirking Naruto who vanished as well. Naruto enjoyed when Yugao was angry at him. When calm, she was unstoppable with her sword, but when she was angry, she was vicious. And when she was vicious, something else usually happened. At one of the training grounds . Beneath the glowing majesty of the moon, 2 shadows could be seen fighting against each other, both of them smiling as each tried to find an opening to explore. Despite the fact that they were each using different weapons, they managed to adapt to both strengths and weaknesses of each weapon to utmost perfection. The sword, because of its size compared to the staff, was faster and more maneuverable. However, Naruto used more chakra than Yugao, thus he managed to swing his bow staff fast enough to parry Yugao's ninjato. Therefore, it was quite a challenge for the woman, since she had to worry about both ends of the staff. It only got worse seeing as both Naruto and his weapon of choice were popular for their unpredictability. She never knew when or how Naruto would strike, often defending herself through basic survival instincts rather than skill alone. Overall, it was an interesting match to watch, if not for the fact that the couple didn't enjoy any form of audience. They would be pissed if one of them noticed another shadow watching the spar from afar. Haruno Sakura didn't enjoy the fact that Naruto, her teammate, kept hiding stuff from her. They were supposed to trust each other, right? That was the lesson Kakashi-sensei taught Team 7. Of course, that lesson meant nothing to Sasuke, but it meant something for Sakura and Naruto. At least she thought it that way after she left Tsunade's office. Sakura tried searching for him all over Konoha. She only managed to see Naruto's golden hair with the help of the moonlight and, thus, she hid behind a tree as she watched Naruto sparring with some woman she never seen before. Sakura wasn't aware that Naruto was dating anyone, and the fact that, whoever this girl was moving with such grace and speed only seen by the Anbu forces she kept hearing so much about. But why would an Anbu be involved with Naruto? Better yet, why would a female Anbu be involved with Naruto? If Naruto was seeing this woman, then chances were she wouldn't be able to recognize her identity. Still, curiosity got the best of her, and thus she approached their position as stealthy as she could. Blissfully unaware of the Chunon's presence, Naruto and Yugao increased the pace of their movements as both of them started sweating from the exercise. Both of them parried blow by blow, each time, feeling better and better about the whole thing. Eventually, the amount of sweat and closure experimented by the couple weakened their bodies, and the hormones were slowly taking over, allowing their minds access to previous images of both during love-making. In no time, neither could take their eyes away from the other as they parried the weapons one last time, before Yugao threw her sword on the ground and landed her lips on Naruto's quite violently, as they fell on the ground, making out with each other. Suddenly, the noise of steps approaching warned both of them. "Looks like we've got company, we have to go," Naruto said, before she nodded. With a good use of the shunshin, Naruto and Yugao appeared inside her house. As soon as Sakura appeared closer to Naruto and the mysterious woman's location, still too shocked to see the woman pretty much jumping on her teammate, she didn't even register that no one was there anymore. The pink-haired meddler looked around for any presence at all, almost scared, wondering if she was hallucinating the entire time. It couldn't be possible that an Anbu kunoichi was that much interested in Naruto. Inside Yugao's apartment lemon sequence. Been a while, haven't it? As soon as they teleported inside, both Naruto and Yugao were already being controlled by their raging hormones. It was like this after a heated spar below the full moon, and Naruto had to say, he wished every night was a full moon. Their clothes were gone in an instant as the two made out in the middle living room, kissing each other while using their hands to massage the other's body. It was quite frantic, and they didn't even register the lamp they broke when Yugao threw Naruto towards the nearby wall and literally took possession of his mouth. The blonde wasn't idiot enough to take charge this time around, seeing as he enjoyed seeing the woman out of control. It didn't mean that he was in full control either. Eventually, their kissing session took them to Yugao's room, before Naruto bit her lip slightly, before carrying his lover bridal style towards the bed. Yugao, for her part, swore she felt her legs tremble when Naruto fiercely grabbed her. He gently placed her on the bed, before already getting into position between her legs. Of course, he wasn't stupid enough to skip foreplay and go straight to the dessert. The couple maintained the hot makeout session for quite a while, before both felt that it was time to explore other areas of interest. Naruto's hands began massaging Yugao's right breast, while he played with left one, using his tongue. The woman began seeing stars at such level of arousal. The soft touch of his hand combined with his tongue sent her out of control as she massaged his hair, while bending her body backwards in ecstasy. Naruto did know how to push her buttons, she reasoned, as with her free hand, she began to pass it gently throughout her lips, enjoying every moment of it. Her other hand was busy admiring Naruto's body muscles. She would slowly pass it along his back, then his shoulders all the way to his wrists. "I'm seeing you're enjoying this, Yugao-chan, why don't we take it up a notch, shall we?" The Anbu captain took a long breath as she knew what Naruto meant by that. His tongue, slowly, went to her well-defined abdomen, shaped by years and years of continuous training. By this time, she was gently biting her lower lip as Naruto's tongue reached its objective. Instantly, Yugao's head was thrown backwards pretty, while Naruto did everything and more to make her lose her mind completely. Both her hands stopped feeling Naruto's muscles and went for the now wet sheets, before she squeezed them in pure delight. The blonde's tongue was gentle, but strangely fierce. It was like it had a mind of its own, reaching for the exact spot that always made her lose control. "Oh god, yeah, keep going, Naruto-kun." She grabbed his golden hair and forced his head closer to her, resulting in his tongue finding more room to clean. Eventually, Yugao could feel her walls closing and her body trembling. She was almost on the verge of having an orgasm when Naruto used a different but equally satisfying weapon, his finger. Yugao had only a preview of the future intercourse, before she couldn't hold it anymore and let everything out, screaming his name while ripping the sheets that would have to be changed after the love-making. While Naruto looked at her with a perverted smile on his face, Yugao took a few short breaths, before she flipped him off, getting on top of him before the blonde even acknowledged what happened. He did know, though, the woman's intention as he felt her lips gently licking the tip of his was one of her ways of teasing him, before going for it. When she put it inside her mouth, Naruto's eyes lost his color as he moaned her name in a form of a whisper. Yugao smiled as she was fully intent in doing the same thing he did to her. Naruto's chances of survival went to the floor when Yugao decided to use her hand as well for aid. Needless to say, he was seeing stars right now. Yugao, after a while, remained with the hand gesture, as she met his lips in another passionate kiss. I bet you're having trouble holding yourself back, aren't you, Naruto-kun? His nod was all she wanted to see, before she started whispering close to his ear. Why don't we take it up a notch, huh? As soon as Naruto's already blurred mind processed what she meant by that, Yugao already placed a condom on his member and positioned it inside of hers. She moved her hips slowly first, in order to be better acquainted with Naruto's member. It was such a good feeling as Yugao moaned Naruto's name the entire time, while occasionally increasing the speed and strength. She could hear Naruto's silent moans, asking to feel more of it. She wasn't going to deny his wish, seeing as she also wanted it more and more. Eventually, she went a little further down and Naruto's member ended up reaching the end of the tunnel. She loved it. After a while in said position, it was Naruto's time to take control as he flipped her as well, before spreading her legs and thrusting it inside, earning a delicate moan from Yugao, which he just found he couldn't live without it. By now, the dirty talk appeared as nicknames were exchanged between the couple. Nothing extreme, though, only enough to spice the mood. The couple found mutually comfortable in this position, thus Naruto remained performing the same movement, while feeling the walls tighten around his member, indicating that Yugao was on the verge of losing it. Also, he couldn't say he was in a better position as both increased the volume of their screams. It didn't take long before both had their orgasms and instantly fell asleep in exhaustion. They were sparring before. Next day Naruto and Yugao both woke up as soon as the sunlight invaded the room. Yugao, though, was hesitating to get up under Naruto's chest, which caused Naruto to smile. Eventually, though, she had to leave seeing as she needed to reach the headquarters in less than an hour. Naruto, for his part, didn't have many obligations in the morning, seeing as he just came back from a mission and his sensei was at least 3 hours late for everything. After taking a shower, he prepared a quick breakfast for the couple while Yugao took a quick shower. As he cooked the meal, memories of last night kept invading his brain. It still surprised him how different Yugao was from the usual reserved kunoichi she appeared while on missions or outside the bedroom. He almost forgot that he was the one cooking upon remembering the new position they tried yesterday. His mind was split between remembering what happened and cooking breakfast, so he didn't even register that his girlfriend was right behind him. I enjoyed it last night, Naruto-kun, how about you? Yugao whispered close to his ear, while passing her hands around Naruto's body. You know that by doing that, you risk arriving late at the headquarters, right? Not that I'm complaining, just saying, the woman smirked and kissed him on the neck before going to her room to get dressed for work, while Naruto was busy serving breakfast on the table. As soon as she got out, though, she saw Naruto looking at her with a perverted smile on his face. I can't help it, you look so sexy in your Anbu clothes, Yugao-chan. Yugao smiled once more and approached at the blonde in an attempt to arouse the blonde even more, which was working. The blonde always had this fantasy of being interrogated by the sexy Anbu kunoichi, which they did pretty often. Yugao for her part loved how she could seduce her lover. It made her feel special in ways that was long forgotten. After the teasing session, Yugao took a seat next to the blonde as she started eating breakfast, while engrossing in some light conversation regarding Naruto's list of activities for today. Tsunade gave his team a couple days off to fully recuperate before going back to active duty, so the blonde was free to wander around. So, she guessed he would do his second favorite activity, training. And points to anyone who figure out his favorite activity, considering this chapter. I think I'm going to train a bit. I'm still not close to mastering the Suten Sushoa technique and it's bothering me. Afterwards, I don't know, I guess I'll see if Kakashi wants something. Naruto wanted to train using the Kyuubi's power, but he couldn't do it inside the village, unless he wanted the entire ninja population after him. He supposed it would be alright to train some other skills as well, since he wouldn't do anything else for the entire day. Yugao nodded, before drinking the entire milk bottle quickly and placing her mask on. She didn't cover her face until she gave her boyfriend a kiss. After that, Yugao opened her door and left towards the Anbu headquarters, leaving Naruto. After a few minutes, he left as well with the same clothes he used the night before. It didn't make sense to change, seeing as he would train once more. Stretching his limbs a bit, Naruto jumped towards the nearby rooftops towards the training ground that he used alongside Yugao. He needed a nearby water source to perform the jutsu. He managed, one time, to perform a minor C rank technique without water nearby, but it required too much chakra, even for him. How the Nadaime Hokage did it, he would never know. Maybe that's why he became the Nadaime in the first place, thought the blonde as he jumped through the small buildings like it was routine. It didn't take long for the training ground to appear on the horizon. As soon as he landed, he stopped to look around a bit, wondering if someone was already using it. Something he picked from Yugao, if it wasn't team training, then, he didn't like sharing training grounds with a stranger. Since he didn't sense anyone, the blonde smiled and approached the lake in order to begin some light manipulation exercises to ease the chakra flowing inside his tenketsus. It involved the creation of small whirlpools. After he was done, he started making the hand seals sequence for one of the Nadaime Hokage's trademark techniques, the Sutensushoa, water release, water collision destruction technique. Naruto, by no means, wanted to possess the Nadaime's level of control over water chakra, simply because it wasn't his affinity. He merely wished to have a suitable arsenal of techniques to help him in case his prime affinity isn't the best course of action. After feeling comfortable enough to practice the jutsu, Naruto started the hand seal sequence, while molding the necessary chakra for it. With Kakashi . A couple hours later, Kakashi was seen wandering around Konoha. He was supposed to meet Tenzu, who was given the codename Yamato by the Hokage, in front of the Hokage's office. He wondered about something interesting, though. Yamato was Yugao's second in command. So much strange coincidences surrounded them, Kakashi mused. Yugao was Kakashi's subordinate as an Anbu Jr., who afterward, was assigned to command Yamato's team, and now she's dating Kakashi's student Naruto. In a weird sort of way, the bond was formed. As Kakashi approached the front of the administrative building, he saw Yamato already there, looking quite angry. The probable reason was that Kakashi was 2 hours late for their meeting, but it could be anything. Upon seeing the man to whom Yamato considered testing every available killing technique out there, he controlled his breathing a little bit, in order to calm down. You just don't make someone wait for 2 hours, it's just inhuman. Sorry for being late, Yamato, you see a black cat crossed my path and I had to take a different path to come here. Instantly, Yamato's brain conjured a scene of the wood user slamming Kakashi's face with a tree log. Kakashi-senpai, I almost forgot about your excuses for being late. Now, I was already briefed by Hokage-sama regarding Naruto-kun's situation. I understand he already gained control over 2 taels worth of the Kyuubi's chakra. From what I saw, yes. We should meet him. I'll bet that right now he's either eating some ramen or training. Personally, I'd go for training ground number 20. It's his favorite, Yamato nodded, as he followed Kakashi. Isn't training ground 20, Yugao Teiku's favorite as well? Kakashi smiled at the question. I'm sure it's just a coincidence. At the training ground number 20 . As soon as Kakashi and Yamato reached the training ground, they could see 2 different pillars, one made from wind and another from water. As such, they wondered if perhaps Naruto wasn't alone using the field. However, upon seeing closer, they concluded that they were 2 Narutos, instead of 2 different shinobi. One was on top of the lake, focusing on gathering the water around his body, before creating a tidal wave towards the waterfall 20 minutes in front of the blonde. Both Junin recognized the technique and wondered why Naruto was attempting such a chakra-taxing technique. If they weren't mistaken, the only one who ever used such technique was the Nadaime Hokage, and he only used it because of his unusual mastery of water ninjutsu. On the other side of the field, another Naruto, to whom both Kakashi and Yamato believed to be a Kage Bunshin, was seated in a lotus-like position with his eyes closed, while maintaining a spinning hurricane around his body. Are the wonders of unlimited chakra supply, Yamato. Just imagine how much he could do with the fox's chakra. The wood user could only nod dumbly as his eyes skipped between looking at the real one and the clone, presuming that the one doing the water exercise was the real one. What are you doing here, Kakashi-sensei? A sudden voice alerted the two Junins and they turned to see a third Naruto holding a metallized bow staff with his right hand. The Scarecrow Junin was slightly surprised since he supposed that Naruto had summoned only one clone to aid him in training. The fact that he, now, couldn't say for sure which of the three was the real one. Then, he remembered that Naruto's Kage Bunshin training was useless when it came to physical skills. Therefore, the real one was the one practicing with the bow staff. However, now that he certified that, the man was even more surprised than before. If the ones doing the elemental training were mere clones, then how could they use as much chakra as a high-level Junin and not be dispelled? To think the boy's chakra coils haven't fully expanded yet, even without the fox's chakra, Naruto's chakra supply is off the charts. Seriously, Kakashi-sensei, do you need anything? You kind of spaced out for a minute there. Naruto even poked his sensei a few times, which managed to awake Kakashi from his musings. Oh sorry Naruto, well, I'd like to introduce you to our team's new member Yamato. Tsunade-sama felt that since we ended up facing not one but 4 members of Akatsuki, it would be best if another Junin-level shinobi joined as well. Naruto nodded and shook hands with Yamato, before Kakashi started speaking once more. He also has another purpose, Naruto. From what I saw from your fight against Sasori, you managed to hold your own with 2 taels worth of chakra without losing control to the fox. I can see you improved a lot in this regard, since before you left, you couldn't hold 1 tael, before getting affected by the fox's urges. Yamato, here, will aid you in better acquainting yourself with the fox's chakra so to speak, probably reaching 3 taels worth of chakra with 4 being your conscious limit according to Jiraiya-sama. On the outside, Naruto nodded and turned to look at Yamato, but on the inside, he was cursing his existence as he knew that upon granting Kyuubi access to his senses, he knew the damn fox ended up hearing everything. No doubt, he would be ecstatic if Naruto managed to use not 1 but 3 taels worth of power. Not that I don't believe you too, but how is he able to help? I mean, even Ero-sensei found it hard to upgrade to a 3rd tael. That's simple. Yamato here is a wood user. Upon hearing it, Naruto widened his eyes a bit at the revelation and turned to Yamato. Are you related to the Shodime or the Godime Hokage? How can you use Mokuton and what does that have to do with anything? As soon as Kakashi was about to respond, Yamato interrupted him and explained to the blonde Chunin. Naruto, I'm not in any sort of way related to the Senju clan. I can use Mokuton because I was the only kid from 60 that managed to survive Orochimaru's little experiment. The man tried to replicate the Shodime's use of Mokuton ninjutsu, so he used me as well as other test subjects. Now regarding your other question, the Shodime Hokage, as you may or may not know, managed to control the Bijuas-tailed beasts to his will. As a result of the experiment, I retained a bit of said skill. Therefore, if you by any chance lose control to the fox's chakra, I'll be there too, let's say, save you from destroying everything in your path so to speak. Now, apart from that, I obtained mastery in Suiten ninjutsu. So, I could give you some pointers with it, if you so wish. Naruto nodded at the man, even though he had an excellent teacher sleeping with him. I would appreciate all the help I can get, then, thank you Yamato-san. However, I fear that if we want to train me in getting used to the fox's chakra, it's probably best to do so in a more secluded place. 2 taels is quite enough for the entire village to feel it and demand my execution. Don't worry Naruto, with Yamato here on the job, you don't have to worry about it, right Yamato? Yamato nodded, though the Anbu silently pondered if he had enough chakra to subdue someone like Naruto when the time came. The boy had already 4 times the Anbu's chakra and that didn't count the fox. Naruto soon dispelled his 2 clones, one by one, while closing his eyes so not to suffer the backlash of too much information at once. After that, he felt his stomach growling and looked at the Junin with a smile on his face. Anyone up for some lunch? At the Hokage's office Swamped in paperwork duties, Tsunade stamped her signature on documents dully separated by her assistant Shizune. Her face indicated clear boredom upon facing what every Kage had to do pretty much every day. It was quite infuriating to say the least. The woman just wanted to learn some minor fire jutsu so that she could burn everything. Her assistant, on the other hand, was very displeased at her master's lack of proper decor while behind the most powerful desk in Konohagakure. Eventually, the papers were finished, but Tsunade's arm was on autopilot and stamped the table repeatedly. If it wasn't for Shizune nearby to wake her up, she would have stamped her entire office, without realizing. Shizune, I'm going to create a D-ranked mission, stamp these damn documents every day. Select one fresh out of the academy genin for the job, will ya? Her eyes were almost shut and Shizune wondered if her master was already asleep. She wasn't even considering carrying out the order. It wasn't the first time, as she remembered Tsunade saying, one time, that she would select a chunin and place him in a genjutsu so that he would appear like her and attend a boring meeting with some of Konoha's steel suppliers. Shizune was about to leave the office, when a chunin had the stupidest idea to barge in screaming. He was sent flying by a paperweight that was thrown by a still sleeping Hokage. The man was nurturing his head bump, while Shizune approached and picked up the piece of paper that he wanted to inform Tsunade about. Taking a moment to read it, she, then, gave it to the Hokage who took the paper, before even opening her eyes. When she read it, a sigh escaped her lips at the Kazekage's request. Apparently, Gaara conversed with Naruto in order to warn the other Kages about the Akatsuki threat and, thus, he sent a letter to the Raikage containing information Suna had on the organization. It wasn't as extensive as Jiraiya's, but no village would reject information about S-ranked criminals. The Raikage did, though, as according to Gaara, the man just disregarded the organization as a threat simply because Suna was the weakest of the hidden villages and a threat to them was considered a minor pest to the rest of the hidden villages. Tsunade knew some info about the proud Raikage. The man's pride was as big as his own muscles and no doubt, he would openly disregard Sunade's preoccupations. Apparently Gaara thought so as well, since he asked that Konoha did the same thing. Tsunade smirked at Gaara's reasons. As inexperienced as he was on the job, the boy was highly intelligent. She saw similar skill in Orochimaru. Gaara even came up with the best team to send towards Kumogakure and persuade the Raikage into accepting the fact that Akatsuki is indeed a threat and shouldn't be underestimated. The Hokage knew Naruto to be highly skilled when it came to fighting tough enemies, but the boy lacked the necessary experience in missions that didn't only require a kunai and his fists. It would be his first diplomacy mission into another hidden village. Shizune, I know that I ended up giving Team Kakashi the day off, but please assemble them for me. I'm sending them on a B-ranked mission towards Kumo. After the Hokage's order, it didn't take more than half an hour for Team Kakashi to appear at the Hokage's office for a new mission. Well, at least Naruto, Sakura and Yamato were already present. Quite to the Hokage's dismay, Kakashi was still due to show up. Kakashi was one of Konoha's top elite Chunin and it was only because of this that Tsunade tolerated the man's habit of tardiness. Anyone else would be punished severely. Meanwhile, she guessed that it would be a good time as any to introduce the fourth member of the team to Sakura. The girl was looking at him the entire time anyway, probably wondering who he was and what was he doing here as well, seeing as only Team Kakashi was summoned for this new B-ranked mission. Well, seeing as your sensei is still due to arrive, I might as well tell you about some changes to the Team Sakura. By the mention of her name, the medic Chunin looked at the Hokage. The Junin next to Naruto will answer by the name of Yamato. He's an Anbu, so his identity is to remain secret. I trust that with the amount of time you passed with me and Shizune, you can understand that. The reason behind his addition is that Team Kakashi isn't yet complete. A 4-man unit is standard Konoha protocol and not meant for genin teams alone. He'll be the last addition to the team as second in command. Usually, I'd be placing an equally skilled shinobi, a chunin, but with the enemies we're facing now, a Junin-level shinobi is better suited to face the enemies Team Kakashi will be facing. I have high expectations that this team will be one of the strongest ever. Sakura nodded as she looked at Naruto. She knew about the Akatsuki from their last mission towards Sunagakure. What she didn't know, however, is why they were after Team Kakashi. She knew that Kakashi had an entire page in the bingo book and Yamato was an Anbu, so it was hard for anyone to know who he really is, thus, targeting him was out of the question. That left herself and her teammate Naruto. She doubted that anything she ever did in her career managed to piss anyone to the point that someone would want her head for it. Naruto, on the other hand, remained a mystery. She remembered how Akatsuki went after Gaara because he was the one-tailed Jinchuriki, and she also remembered that Kakashi said something about Naruto sharing the same fate as Gaara. It couldn't be that Naruto was a Jinchuriki as well, right? If it was true, then someone would have told her, seeing as they were teammates, right? So many mysteries surrounded Naruto, she reasoned. By looking at his aloof and neutral expression, she couldn't read him like she used to. Before, he was as open as a book, screaming his opinions, never once keeping it to himself. Now, he was collected, even aloof to the situation. She was half expecting him to question the Hokage's decision in front of everyone, or at least question the necessity of even adding a fourth member without any need, in his book. He did nothing, though. It frightened her that someone could change so much in such a short time. Not once did he give her any indication that his previous behavior was a front, a cover-up. Sakura stopped her musings, once Kakashi entered with hands on his pockets, greeting everyone. He even greeted the pissed-off Hokage, who was slowly considering punishing the man for his tardiness habit. Topple eat my ass, next time I'm sure to punch him in the face to wipe that smile off his. About time you got here, Kakashi. Now that everyone is here, I'll begin. As you all know, the Akatsuki is a powerful organization whose single goal, or at least what we're aware of, is hunting the Bijuas. Therefore, the Kazekage tried sending a letter to Kumogakure in order to let them know of said threat. The Yondaime Raikage dismissed Gaara's concern, though, arguing it to be futile, considering Suna's reputation as the weakest hidden village. Because of the rejection, Gaara asked us to assist in convincing the Raikage of the danger posed by the organization. This will be your mission, Team Kakashi. We already arranged a copy of everything Jiraiya and Konoha gathered on him to be delivered to the Raikage. The success of this mission is to convince the Raikage to listen to what we have to say, or at least take a look at our file, that's all. It's considered a B-ranked mission. Neither Sakura nor Naruto has been to Kumogakure before, and they smiled at the prospect of visiting another hidden village, besides Sunagakure. Kakashi just picked the sealing scroll with the information on Akatsuki, before turning to the Hokage. What guarantees do we have that the Raikage will even listen to us? If Gaara himself signed the letter, then anyone below Kage level would receive the same answer. Perhaps, this mission is better suited to Jiraiya-sama, or even you Hokage-sama. The fact that Kakashi questioned the Hokage's orders could have irritated anyone in command, but not Tsunade, for the single fact that Kakashi had loads of experience out there and his opinion mattered a lot to her. She indeed thought about what Kakashi had said. Why would the Raikage value more Kakashi's position than the Kazekage himself? Sure, the Yondaime Raikage must have known that Gaara was perhaps the youngest shinobi to take the Kage's position, and that alone showed a village's weakness. Kakashi, however, was respected by everyone because of his skills and achievements over the years. Surely, if Konoha sent a person like Kakashi to inform Kumo, then they would know that the problem was indeed serious. I thought of that, believe me. First, that pervert is rather difficult to track, and I don't want to waste my time finding him and convincing him. Second of all, where Gaara is a Kage, he's rather inexperienced. The Raikage respects strength, thus upon seeing you, he'll know that something is up. If he still does not believe, then there is nothing we can do except convince the man to accept the information regarding the Akatsuki. As I recall, Kumo has 2 Jinchurikis and one of them happens to be the Raikage's brother. You could use this to, let's say, improve your odds of success. Kakashi nodded, before ushering his team to meet him at the gates. The man vanished soon after, leaving the 3 other members to leave, using the door. Before they left, though, the Hokage ushered Naruto to stay a moment. Yamato left right away, but Sakura remained looking at both Tsunade and Naruto for a few seconds, before leaving as well. Naruto, as strong and skilled as you managed to become under Jiraiya's tutelage, this mission won't require any of it. It's a diplomatic assignment involving a Kage from another village, hence the rank given. The blonde nodded as he knew where the Hokage was going with this. Indeed, the boy wasn't known for his social skills or his inaptitude to stay silent, opting from time to voice his frustrations out loud. He only listened to the woman, though, without responding it right away. Although the Raikage is not known for formalities, let Kakashi do all the talking. I know that you want to protect the other Jinchurikis from being captured, but this is a sensitive situation and needs to be treated as such. Tsunade was reluctant with even assigning this mission, considering the possible ramifications between villages. She didn't want to focus on Akatsuki as well as another war. I understand, Tsunade Barkan. The name itself brought a smile as he continued. I won't open my mouth unless someone asks me a question directly. I do have one question, though, about Sakura. While she has yet to know, I don't believe that Kumo will be secretive about it. What if she hears from the Raikage that I'm also one of them? Wouldn't it be best if she didn't come along? Tsunade nodded and smiled at the question. Something that she never thought would happen, but Naruto did show an improvement in intellect, even if it was inaccurate in this case. Kakashi is aware of this, Naruto. He knows how to talk to others, without giving too much information. Now, seeing as you're now thinking ahead, which I congratulate you for, let's take your suggestion and analyze it, shall we? What would happen if Sakura knew that her entire team was sent on a mission without her? The girl is smart and she'd know something was off, immediately. Afterwards, she would fetch for the reason, and that's where the problem is. She would work hard, but eventually she would have an answer, and it might actually be the actual hidden truth that you don't want her to know about. The blonde nodded with a smile, as he didn't think of the problem from said angle. But before he could acknowledge a response, Tsunade jumped in with another question. Naruto, Sakura is your teammate. If you want her to trust you with protecting you, I believe she must know about it. And it works best if she gets to hear it from you. Naruto looked at the Hokage in surprise at the advice. The decision is yours, Naruto. The law forbids anyone but you from speaking the truth. Take the time from the trip towards Kumo and choose whether you think that Sakura should be made aware of your situation or not. Now, I believe you must be quick in assembling your gear for the trip. It's almost time for you to meet your team, I believe. The blonde nodded and left like Kakashi did, using a shunshin, leaving the Hokage alone with her work. She knew that the boy was conflicted about said topic. She knew that it wasn't the topic alone, but rather to whom she asked Naruto to tell. Sakura may be his teammate, but the two shared a history together. Even though Naruto moved on with Yugao, Sakura was still part of his Genin team. It would be the same with Sasuke, if the damn kid didn't betray Konoha. With Naruto . After leaving Tsunade's office, the blonde went straight home where he packed everything he needed for the trip. He separated some clean clothes, a spare set of kunais and shurikens, some empty scrolls just in case in his bow staff, and sealed everything inside a larger scroll, before placing it inside a hidden pocket on his special vest. The entire procedure took no longer than 5 minutes, so he had some time before he needed to meet his team for the mission. He went to a small balcony where he just stood, looking towards the clouded sky, at the same time wondering about what the Hokage said about him telling Sakura about the Kyuubi. The law created by the third stipulated that only he and he alone could divulge his position as a Jinchuriki. Others, though, would meet the death penalty. Therefore, if he was to inform Sakura, then she wouldn't be able to tell others, unless she wanted to give up her life. That being said, even if he told her, his secret would, in theory, be safe with Sakura. It wasn't that he didn't want to tell her. He was only scared of what would happen if for some reason, the news reached everyone within Konohagakure. It was a risk that he didn't want to take, thus he supposed it would be better to tell her once they were a few miles away from the village. He also had to tell her about the law. He knew that the chance of her being pissed at him for keeping the information from her was 110%, thus he reasoned he could use the same weapon against Kakashi, when the man questioned about his new skills. Once the time was up for him to leave, he left a note on top of the kitchen table in case Yugao comes looking for him. He didn't have time to tell her personally, but something inside him knew that she wouldn't need a note to know when Naruto was available or away for a mission. Such is the privilege of being an Anbu captain, he smiled. He locked his door and jumped towards the nearby rooftop, towards the gates, but not before greeting the weirdest neighbor ever, one called Maito Guy. As he hopped between buildings, the blonde thought about the Raikage and his personality. Tsunade said that the man was a proud warrior, who only respected strength and skill. He wondered if the man would dismiss Konoha's concerns just as he dismissed Tsunade's. Having not one but two highly trained Jinchuriki probably let him assume that no organization would be strong enough or even capable of capturing one of Kumo's Jinchurikis. In Naruto's opinion, that way of thinking was ludicrous, considering that one of the Akatsuki members managed to capture Gaara and he was the damn Kazekage. No matter how tough the two-tailed and the eight-tailed Jinchuriki were, Akatsuki knew how to deal with them. The known members of the organization possessed powers that could easily subdue any shinobi. Kisame had his sword which was able to eat chakra. Itachi had his Mangenkyu Sharingan. The other two they knew were dead, but so far only 4 members were revealed. The others still remain hidden somewhere, but there wasn't a doubt in his mind that they were as powerful as the already known ones, if not more. As soon as he reached the gates where he was supposed to meet his team, Naruto wasn't surprised to see Sakura and Yamato already there, engaged in some sort of conversation. He supposed that Kakashi would take at least another half an hour to arrive. The Chunin wasn't much thrilled about having to wait for Kakashi together with Sakura. If by any measure of bad luck, they run out of topics to talk about, there was a huge possibility that the girl would ask questions about their mission and the Jinchurikis. Naruto wanted to tell her, but he couldn't do it, so close to the village. His presence alerted Sakura and Yamato as they turned to the approaching form of Naruto. The blonde waved at them as he approached their position. I take it Kakashi-sensei is late once more, Naruto asked, already coming with a subject to distract Sakura for the time being. No surprise there. It's quite infuriating, the worst part is that we never know what he's doing. Instead of meeting his team, Yamato smirked at this. Apparently, Senpai's tardiness is well known throughout the entire village. The three conversed for a while about multiple topics, ranging from Lightning Country's geography to the respective hidden ninja village called Kumogakure. Naruto thanked the heavens for Sakura's never-ending curiosity about other countries. She didn't stop asking questions to Yamato about Lightning Country and Kumogakure, regarding its population, its shinobi, their skills in combat, among other subjects. Surprisingly, Yamato knew quite a lot about the region, to which Naruto assumed that Yamato was sent there on quite a few occasions to investigate or even, he dared, infiltrate. In the end, Yamato managed to hold Sakura's focus enough time so that when the topic was finished, Kakashi appeared via Shunshin, showing a happy salute to everyone. You're late, Kakashi-sensei. Everyone flinched at the woman's angry tone, though for one simple reason. Sakura had the Hokage's freakishly strength. One punch could be their end. It didn't mean that Kakashi wouldn't throw his usually lame excuses, though. Sorry about that, Sakura. You see, an old lady was having difficulty carrying her bags, so I decided to help her. Her house was pretty far, though. The man was scratching his head in fake embarrassment, but he managed his point across. After a long time doing the same thing over and over again, Kakashi became a professional at being late and inventing lame excuses for such. He, thus, led others to believe that nothing out of the ordinary happened, just like he wished others to think. It wouldn't do for others to know what he really does every day. Okay team, let's move towards Kumogakure. If we move faster, chances are we reach the village entrance in 3 days. Let's move. Naruto, you take the lead. Sakura and Yamato will be in the middle and I'll take the rear. The team nodded, before they vanished towards Lightning Country's ninja village. In River Country . The battle that took place between Deidara and the ninjas from Konoha ended up leveling a few sectors of the forest near the cave where the Ichibi no Shukaku was almost extracted. There were rocks and debris everywhere as a result of Deidara's final ninjutsu, composed basically of blowing himself up after using his clay. It was quite an ending to a powerful shinobi, blowing himself up in order to take out as many enemies as possible. Unluckily for him, the blast was disrupted by a low-level but quite useful wind jutsu, courtesy of Konoha's Jinchuriki. Suddenly, someone or rather something emerged from the ground. It appeared to be some kind of plant, before a portion of cloth could be seen, as if the plant was wearing clothes. When it fully emerged, the vines opened up, revealing a strange human being, half white and half black. Upon further inspection, a scratched Sunagakure headband could be seen, indicating that this man, if he could be called that, was a missing nin. He looked around the destroyed forest for any signs of what he was looking for. The loss of Deidara was a huge blow to Akatsuki, but what was more important was the ring the man wore. Zetsu was sent especially to collect the ring that every Akatsuki member had. Also, he was ordered to get rid of Deidara's body, after he found the ring. His acute hearing caught a faint noise of some rocks being moved, before surprisingly so, Deidara's head emerged from the ground, panting from lack of air. Zetsu looked at Deidara and smirked, though his other half wished the man was killed, so they could eat him. It seems you got your ass whooped, Deidara, the dark half said, much to the other half's amusement. The strong voice alerted the Iwa missing nin, before he turned to meet his comrade Zetsu. Such a delight to see you two, Zetsu, HN. One more word and I'll show you my art. By now, his entire body was out of the ground. Zetsu could see that even if the man managed to survive the explosion, his body took quite a lot of damage and it would take a little while to recover. Deidara, for his part, cursed Konoha for losing. Because of his suicide strategy, he didn't see what happened after he used his technique. He cursed at himself as well for not capturing the Kyubi Jinchuriki, before he remembered the fight. He never knew that Sasori-senpai could be beaten like that. They were equally matched, Kyuubi Jinchuriki and Sasori, but it all changed once the Konoha shinobi used the fox's chakra. Sasori didn't have a chance and certainly he didn't as well. Next time, the story will be different, Deidara reasoned. He now had some unfinished business with Naruto. Heaven and earth bridge . A great distance away from the events, a long hooded figure approached the bridge from the west side. The scenery was quite peculiar, as from both sides of the bridge, the same forest could be seen. It looked like a major earthquake happened here some time ago and separated what was once a united land. The mysterious human being looked that no one was on top of the bridge, which to him sounded odd, seeing as his master was quite clear that they were to meet and he knew that when Sasori said something, he meant it. As soon as he stepped on the bridge and walked all the way to the middle, he realized that something wasn't right. He couldn't sense the presence of his master approaching from the other side, which meant that something must have happened to him. He looked briefly to his back and saw the place where his real master was hidden. He gave a brief flare of chakra and immediately Orochimaru appeared behind his second-in-command Kabuto. Orochimaru knew about Sasori's control over Kabuto and managed to break the seal placed by Sasori. He was using this opportunity to kill Sasori once and for all, thus diminish Akatsuki's numbers. A puppet master of Sasori's caliber would be quite troublesome to deal with and the Snake Sannin didn't know what Sasori was capable of. So the rumors are true, then, Kabuto said, earning a nod from Orochimaru. It appears so, Kabuto. It was said that Hatake Kakashi and the Kyuubi brat managed to defeat Sasori, when he attempted to capture the one-tailed Jinchuriki and Kazekage of Sunagakure. It's safe to believe that we are much closer to our goals now with Sasori's death and we didn't have to move a finger to do it. The smile on Orochimaru's face caused his second-in-command to smile as well. For now, Orochimaru and Konoha have a common enemy and seeing that Konoha has defeated not only one member, but two shows that Konoha was prepared to get rid of Orochimaru's enemy for him. Right now, the only hindrance to Orochimaru's life was the organization. And with Konoha defeating them one by one, Orochimaru's opposition vanishes. Let's go back to the base Kabuto. The sooner that Sasuke-kun is ready, the sooner I can take over his body and finally reach my ambition, Kabuto smirked, before following his master back to their hidden base. Neither of the two spotted the small toad that appeared from below the bridge. Jiraiya managed to follow Orochimaru's trail since he left Rice Country and wondered what he was doing near Grass Country. He heard the conversation and smirked at the fact that Orochimaru was scared of Akatsuki as well. It didn't bode well for him knowing that in a way, Konoha was doing his partner's dirty work. But he couldn't do anything about that. Akatsuki was after Naruto or rather the beast living inside of him. He couldn't afford to let the organization roam free, even if it means that he, or Konoha, will end up dealing with the enemy of their enemy Orochimaru. Nevertheless, his mission wasn't to kill Orochimaru, but rather to stop him from taking over Sasuke's body. Tsunade didn't give a rat's ass to the Uchiha's welfare, but she'd rather not allow Orochimaru to possess the Sharingan. The man had orders to kill Sasuke, if he had to. As soon as he realized that no one would spot him, he followed the enemy's trail towards the hidden base. If Sasuke is there, then Jiraiya's mission will be over sooner than he expected. Team Kakashi . 2 days later and Team Kakashi had already crossed Lightning Country's border. From here on out, they were in hostile territory. So, it was mandatory not to attract attention until they reached the entrance of Kumogakure. As soon as the team crossed the border, they noticed the immense changes in scenery compared to Fire Country. Instead of miles and miles of forests, they could see an entire path of mountains surrounded by small rivers on the horizon. The path towards Kumogakure would be harder now considering that in order to cross the field they had to use chakra to jump between mountains. Sakura asked if there wasn't any civilian route towards the village, before Yamato explained that the only one was heavily patrolled by Kumo. Either way, they'll spot us as soon as we use chakra to hop between these mountains. Since the end of the war, Kumogakure opted to increase their ninja capacity, focusing more on increasing the patrols around the country. Sometime, we'll be seen by them anyway. Let's go, Kakashi explained, earning a nod from his team as they jumped towards the nearby mountain. During their travel, Naruto and Sakura observed that clouds would hide the top of the mountains, which was quite interesting because they weren't traveling above the real clouds above. What no one knew, or perhaps only the Chunins, was that the clouds served to hide the special detection seals that allowed Kumo to spot invaders. As soon as the first Konoha shinobi landed on the first mountain, the seal were activated, alerting Kumo. Kakashi's only visible eye indicated that he already knew this. He estimated that they would be approached by a team of Kumo in no more than 2 hours. After passing about 20 miles of mountains, everyone's danger senses tingled. Naruto was the one that acted first, molding his chakra through hand seals. The others, seeing this, trusted their lives on him, gathering closer to his location. Immediately, a rain of shurikens charged at the Konoha group. Naruto was already in position, even before the projectiles appeared. No one expected such hostility from Kumogakure, but seeing as they just trespassed without authorization, ending up justifying said action. Fuyuten Shoheki no Jutsu, Wind Release. Wind Barrier Technique. The blonde focused the wind barrier in order to protect all four. The small typhoon projected around them managed to block the shurikens, just as the team landed on one of the mountains to the right. The team of Kumo landed on the mountain from the opposite side as both teams faced each other. It took a few minutes, before Kakashi cleaned his throat and took a step forward, as in showing that he was the leader of the team. Immediately, a very gorgeous blonde woman Kunoiki, with breasts as big as Tsunade's, stepped forward as well. Kumo Shinobi, we are here under orders from our Hokage in order to speak with your Raikage. It's of great importance that we deliver him a message, Sumui just crossed her arms below her breast. Sharingan no Kakashi, as your Hokage should have known, it's customary to notify Raikage-sama prior to trespassing in our territory. By any means, we should interpret this lack of attention as an act of hostility and respond as such. The woman's voice was rather cold, showing that she had experience and skill to back up any sort of threat. Plus, the fact that she knew Kakashi showed that she didn't have anything against facing him in battle if needed be. The Scarecrow Junin was by no means an amateur in diplomacy and responded as such. Konoha and Kumogakure are neutral with one another. As such, there is no obligation of a prior notice from the Hokage. The message is of great importance and it concerns Kumogakure greatly. Furthermore, by the way your team greeted us, it can be considered an act of hostility on our part as well. As I remember correctly, we allowed Kumo leniency for crossing our border without permission. Are you now saying that the same courtesy does not apply to Kumogakure? The woman snorted at the response, but the man was right. Here she was hoping to at least win a verbal assault against the famous Sharingan no Kakashi. Plus, looking at the opposite team, she knew that the odds of Kumo winning were quite poor. They had 2 Junins, whereas she was the only Junin from her team. Also, she was quite uneasy upon looking at the blonde Chunin from Konoha. Something about his chakra that felt familiar and that worried her greatly. Very well, I'll allow your team to go see the Raikage. But on the condition that we escort you towards the village. Also, I'd advise not to try anything. As soon as we arrive, a team of Anbu will accompany us as well. The entire shinobi population of Kumo could follow them for all Kakashi cared. His mission was only to catch the Raikage's interest regarding Akatsuki and nothing more. His mission didn't require the Raikage to actually act upon his information, but only so that he actually listens and accepts the scroll containing the information. We accept. As soon as Kakashi spoke, the team from Kumo started moving once more towards the village, followed by Team Kakashi. In no time, the clouds became thicker, creating a similar environment to Kirigakure, except that it wasn't exactly a heavy fog. Because of this, it became much more difficult to maneuver throughout the mountains. One of the aspects of being a hidden village is that it must be built in a place that can literally hide the village, so that enemies don't spot it easily. Suna had the desert and desert storms. Konoha was surrounded by forest, thus it was easy for the enemy to get lost or even alert the Anbu patrol before he or she reached the walls. Kirigakure was surrounded by a heavy mist that only those who knew the path managed to find Kirigakure. In order to enter Iwagakure, one had to go through different caves in order to find the right path. And just invented. Kumogakure was no different as the clouds made it almost impossible to even spot the village on the horizon. Like Kirigakure, one must know the right path or else they would be lost easily. Nevertheless, the Konoha team focused on a simple formation that allowed everyone to follow the right path. With Kakashi first and Yamato last, he could see if Naruto or Sakura would move away from the right course. The entire trip took more or less 6 hours, before the hidden village finally appeared. The scenery didn't change much from the country's landscape. Several mountains surrounded by river. The Raikage Tower could be seen at the highest mountain and rest of the village was scattered around the Kage Tower, at the lower mountains. Like the Kumo Junin promised, as soon as they passed through the village entrance, a squad of the village's Anbu appeared next to Simui, before both teams escorted the team from Konoha. They walked through a path that went from the village entrance directly to the Raikage's tower. Instead of jumping through mountains like before, they choose to walk calmly towards the tower. Like everyone expected, every single citizen from the village, being civilian or shinobi, stopped what they were doing and looked at the shinobis from Konoha. It wasn't every day that such a thing happened and some wondered what Konoha did to deserve such hostile treatment. Only the shinobi knew that this was basic procedure stated by the Yondaime Raikage. It not only served to prevent any enemy from retaliating but also to show to foreigners the strength of Kumogakure. A third purpose was to scare the enemy, but none of the members from Konoha showed any signs of being affected by said display of hostility. Of course, with 2 Junins and the QB Jinchuriki, it wouldn't be a good idea to piss him off. It took little more than 10 minutes before the entrance of the Raikage Tower was visible. The leader of the Anbu squad, then, turned to Simui and told her that his squad would accompany Konoha's team from now on. The woman nodded, before her team vanished with a lightning shunshin. He, then, turned to Kakashi. Hatake Kakashi, I expect that you treat Raikage-sama the respect he deserves. If one of your team even dares something, we'll be forced to take action. The Anbu member even raised the killing intent to get his point across. It was useless however, as Kakashi just focused on his as well. Direct threats to my team will be met with the same level of hostility Anbu-san. I'll abide by your regulations, no problem. Your threats are unnecessary. The man nodded and ceased his intention before walking inside the tower. The team from Konoha soon followed. Sakura was beginning to cower under the pressure, but she managed to maintain her composure long enough not to show that she was intimidated by such level of aggressiveness. As a medic nin, she wasn't accustomed to facing enemies trying to kill her. The Hokage used her killing intent on occasion, but Sakura, somehow, knew that the woman wouldn't finish her. Against Sasori was different, because the man was focusing in killing Elder Chiyo, not her. Once inside, the team was surprised to see that inside the Kage Tower, was an enormous dojo where a lot of ninjas were found training their taijutsu. The Anbu saw their curiosity and decided to enlighten Konoha for a bit. Raikage-sama created this dojo in order to train our most gifted ninjas. Raikage-sama believes that any shinobi is strong given the appropriate training. Therefore, he established a list of objectives for every ninja under his care. Those who rise above it, gets access to this special dojo and access to high-level techniques. Kakashi and Yamato nodded, while looking at some of the ninja trainees going through some taijutsu katas. Naruto spotted 2 Chunin his size and probably his age, sparring against one another. He smiled upon seeing the well-coordinated moves. He remembered how long he took to perfect his taijutsu and applauded Kumo's mentality. A part of him wished to test his ability against one of these guys. He saw that the area wasn't reserved for taijutsu only, but ninjutsu and kenjutsu as well. He knew from Yugao that Kumogakure managed to train some nice kenjutsu users a couple years back. Perhaps, it started once the Yondaime Raikage started running the village. He was amazed at some elemental techniques that the ninjas practiced. A few he recognized, but others he didn't. His eyes landed on a brunette kunoichi that was performing a long sequence of hand seals and in front of her was a wooden dummy. Fuyuten Choinufu Kansei, wind release. Twin tornado trap technique. Instantly from both sides of the dummy, 2 tornadoes appeared, before the dummy was massacred under the pressure. Naruto smirked and began taking notes of the technique, hoping to incorporate to his arsenal as well. Briefly looking, he managed to see that it was a close-range technique and the seals sequence wasn't that different from some of his techniques. He turned his attention forward, so that none of the Anbu knew that he was spying on Kumo's techniques. He snorted, though, seeing that they were the ones who brought the team here. Plus, no one would expect someone to simply master a technique just by looking at it. It didn't mean that Naruto couldn't take notes and practice afterward, right? Soon, they reached the stairs that would lead straight to the Raikage's office. Climbing it took quite a while and Konoha team wondered behind the necessity of such a long set of stairs. It took close to 10 minutes, before the office door was visible. The Anbu, then, turned to Kakashi and reminded him to show their respect to the Raikage. The squad soon vanished, but Kakashi and Yamato knew that they just entered the office and hid in the shadows, just like Konoha Anbu did. When the door opened, the team from Konoha took a moment to see the Raikage's office, and it didn't look much different than the Hokage's. The room was a bit more spacious and a few couches could be seen next to some shelves on the left corner. The Kage's desk, like Konoha, was placed near the back window. They all assumed that every Kage enjoyed getting up and looking at their village from the office. Now what was really shocking was seeing a man with white robes and the trademark Kage hat in front of them, and he was doing some biceps workout with weights that would probably be equivalent to a normal human beings on each side of the iron bar. So, it was quite surprising when this morning I found out that a team of Konoha tried to reach our village without my consent. His face was shadowed because of the lack of light in the room, but when it showed, the team from Konoha had a better look at his appearance, white hair and a thin mustache. The man showed his teeth a lot, Naruto mused. The Raikage used to scream a lot instead of speak, so it wasn't surprising that he would snarl at the enemy. He had the body build to carry any sort of threat though, not to mention that the man was a Kage-level shinobi. His proficiency with lightning jutsu was what placed him behind this desk. The Raikage needed less than 5 seconds to study the team brought before him, before landing his eyes on the most immediate threat of the bunch, Kakashi. So Hatake Kakashi, tell me, what was the Hokage thinking by sending someone like you to my beloved Kumogakure? Kakashi took a step forward and bowed in respect to the man, before looking at the Kage directly in the eye, which earned him even more respect from the Kage. The Raikage respected strength after all. Greetings Raikage-sama, first of all I'd like to extend Konoha's gratitude that you freed your busy schedule to attend us. And please bear in mind that the reason of us being here is of great importance. Given the fact that Akatsuki's. I'll stop you right there Sharingan no Kakashi and ask if this is related to my dismissing the Kazekage's letter concerning some no-name organization composed of S-ranked nins, which according to him, is after the tailed beasts. The smirk on the man's face indicated that he didn't need much of an answer and must have treated Gaara's letter with the same smirk on his face. There was a time when Konohagakure was considered the strongest of the 5 great hidden villages. I've come to respect a great number of shinobis from Konoha. The Shodaime, his brother Nadaime, Hiruzen that old monkey, which was a great friend of mine and possibly the strongest shinobi of his time. The Yondaime Hokage was undefeated and even your father Konoha's White Fang. Now to see such a village cowering because of one organization composed of what? 9 shinobi even if they were rumored to be S-ranked nin, it's quite pitiful. I'll give Konoha the same answer that I gave to Suna. The comment even raised a few snorts from the man's secretary and even some of the hidden Anbu team, but none of the Konoha team was amused. In fact, Naruto was livid, but managed to control himself in front of the Raikage. However, the man wasn't Kage for nothing and looked at him the same instant. You even have the Kyuubi Jinchuriki right there and you're still cowering. As soon as the comment reached everyone's ears, Sakura was the one that looked at Naruto with worry. Flashback on. After one day of traveling, Team Kakashi decided to stop for 20 minutes. Naruto took this opportunity and called Sakura to talk with him alone for a while. Kakashi and Yamato already knew this was bound to happen sometime and it was better that he did it now, because surely the Raikage would, if he didn't. And the impact would be quite large on the level of confidence between one another. The lore estimated that only Naruto could tell the truth about his condition and such, he would have to tell not only Sakura, but everyone he felt that needed to know. Naruto and Sakura walked for a while, before they reached a small lake surrounded by thick trees. What is it that you want to tell me, Naruto? The look in his eyes showed her that whatever the topic was, it was quite serious. The blonde for his part, didn't want to tell her right now. But for the sake of the mission and for her trust in future times, he had to. Sakura, I was actually planning on telling you this on a later date, but seeing what this mission involves, I believe you have the right to hear it from me before you hear it from someone else. Worst yet, someone you don't know. The woman nodded and surprisingly so, didn't utter a word in response. She never saw such seriousness in his look and it frightened her greatly. Ever since they met at the academy, the blonde was always this happy-go-lucky idiot who smiled every day for no reason at all. They grew up and still the blonde smiled at her. Only when he came back from his trip did he change and it wasn't subtle as she had thought it would be. Naruto took her silence as authorization to explain. Our mission is to inform the Raikage of the Akatsuki organization so that he could better protect the Jinchuriki under his care, the two-tailed demon cat and the eight-tailed ox. There is a special reason, however, why the Hokage picked our team to act as messenger for the Raikage. Like Gaara, I happen to be a Jinchuriki as well. As soon as the words left his mouth, Sakura widened her eyes slowly as her mouth in dire shock. Instantly, her memories started showing her images of their interactions together. The fight at Wave Country, the Chunin exams, when Naruto used some mysterious red chakra and fought a man that Sasuke couldn't hope to defeat, using his bare hands. She also remembered that when their team roamed through Konoha, the villagers would look at the blonde with hatred. Back then, she thought nothing of it, but now everything was explained. She, then, racked her brain in order to remember any event in Konoha concerning a tailed beast. It didn't take her more than 10 seconds, before she looked at Naruto. You're the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. Naruto could pick up her shocked tone and could only nod as her mind was making its own conclusions. But, why you didn't tell me before? Why does everyone say the beast was killed by the Yondaime Hokage 16 years ago? Naruto sighed and looked at her eyes for a moment. He didn't care as much if the woman would loathe him like some in the village still do. Still, some part of him figured that explaining to her in a way that wouldn't take away from their relationship as teammates at least. He went into teacher mode, remembering the explanation given to him by the Sandaime Hokage a long time ago. The Kyuubi no Yoko was a creature made entirely of energy. It didn't have a physical form. Thus, the only way for him to deal with the creature was to seal it somewhere. An object wouldn't be able to hold such a strong chakra, and surely no scroll would be able to. Despite her shock, she heard every word. Therefore, the only option the Yondaime Hokage had was to seal the beast into a human being. A grown-up, with his chakra coils already developed, wouldn't be able to sustain the power as well, so that left a newborn for the sacrifice. It happens that I was the only one born that day. Thus, with a heavy heart, as the Sandaime Hokage explained, he sealed the Kyuubi no Yoko in me and sacrificed himself for the procedure. What you might be asking right now is why the real truth wasn't revealed to the population, right? The Sandaime Hokage thought best at the time to create a half-truth to be taught at the academy and forbid anyone from telling our generation of what really happened. I'm the only one who was able to tell the truth. Naruto couldn't finish the explanation before Sakura slapped him in indignation. The blonde took the blow without even lifting his arm to stop it. He just looked at her, then. He was about to turn his back away from her, figuring that like others, she would hate him when she screamed at him once more. Why didn't you tell me, you idiot? We're supposed to be teammates. I don't care if you're a goddamn Jinchuriki, what I care about is you, Barker. Despite the verbal slapping, Naruto smiled at her typical response. It's not exactly something you speak so easily about, is it? What did you propose I did? Invited you for some ramen and on the way, say, hey Sakura, guess what, the Kyuubi isn't dead and it's living inside me right now. Her face showed more indignation, but at least the tone wasn't so serious anymore. After Naruto explained, Sakura bombarded him with questions, which he answered without holding back information. It was needed for the sake of the mission. Flashback off. Kakashi cleared his throat and decided to use some of the big guns in order to convince the man. Raikage-sama, I trust that the letters sent by the Kazekage didn't tell you some of the names, am I right? Kakashi didn't have to wait for the man's response, before he started with the small but very powerful list of the names. The first member Konoha knew belonged to the organization was none other than Uchiha Itachi, who single-handedly killed his entire clan in one night. Next on the list is Hoshigaki Kisame, former member of the Seven Swordsmen of the Hidden Mist, responsible for murdering a great number of high nobles from Water Country. The first two names already managed to drop the Raikage's smirk as he listened to Kakashi. Recently, Suna was attacked by two new members. One is called Deidara of the Hidden Rock and Akasuna no Sasori. All four of them are S-ranked missing ninjas. These were the names that we already know of, and there are 5 more members whose identities remain a mystery thus far. However, it's safe to say that are at least as powerful as the first ones, if not more. With all due respect, Raikage-sama, even if you didn't show us any, the power of this organization is enough to concern any leader who cares about his shinobi. I trust that one of the Jinchurikis is your brother, correct? Now what would you do if he was captured by them? The sudden silence that reached the room was quite deafening, but Kakashi wasn't yet finished. His mission didn't only involve warning the Raikage, but making him accept Konoha's information on Akatsuki. The information regarding Sasori's death was inside the scroll, so the Scarecrow Junin didn't feel the need to tell the Raikage. Now, Raikage-sama, I have here very detailed information regarding the members' known abilities and history as well. Information that, if taken into consideration, could save your brother and the two-tailed Jinchuriki ni Yugito. The Raikage looked at the scroll in Kakashi's hand and almost unconsciously reached for it. The man's pride was as big as his muscles, and his confidence in Kumo's shinobi had no precedence. However, after hearing those names, the man doubted if he could beat one of them, let alone two. Suddenly, his eyes recovered the usual fiery explosion, before he looked at Kakashi. You brought some new information I wasn't aware of, Kakashi. However, in order for me to accept your scroll, there is a condition. Kakashi maintained his composure, but inside he was cursing the man in front of him. He knew what the condition would be, as he knew the Raikage's character. If your Jinchuriki wins a battle against my brother, then I'll accept the scroll. Kakashi didn't know how to respond, but when he looked at Naruto's face and saw a pleasant smirk, he sighed in dismay. I'm sure this boy will be the death of me sooner than I expected. Condition accepted, Raikage-sama. That will be it for this video. If you want more, comment down below, like, subscribe. And see you guys later.